city of Union City, a cosmopolitan city where almost all of us have seen each other. We are like a large family that through the management of our representatives, they help our citizens. And our people do volunteer work because they know that the city is run by a mayor who has shown that he is not the common politician, but that he works for his community. This program is an extension of information, where we are going to have participation of personalities from the public and private sectors so that they can keep us informed of the community. May that be educational activities and everything that benefits us.
Good evening, the Dream City, Union City, New Jersey. Tonight we have a very special guest, Dr. Geri Perez, Assistant Superintendent of Union City School District. My name is Kennedy Ng. Good evening, Dr. Geri Perez.
Good evening, Mr. Ng.
It's an honor to have you tonight here at the Dream City.
It's an honor to be here.
Very good. I'm going to be asking you a couple questions. Just feel free to answer.
Wonderful.
Can you tell the Dream City, Union City, a little bit about you, your background, and your educational background too?
Sure. Okay, so I'm a lifelong Union City resident. I was born and raised here, and this is my 32nd year working for the Union City Board of Education. I started off as a teacher at Union Hill High School and Woodrow Wilson, and then I went into school administration. But I've lived here my whole life, I've worked here my whole life, and I attended Union City schools growing up.
Wow, what college or university did you attend to get your degree?
I attended St. Peter's University 3 times. I graduated undergraduate and my master's, and most recently my doctorate. From
That's
St.
very
Peter's.
good. So, do you consider yourself a good teacher when you were like a teacher?
Looking back now, I do. At the time, I always felt like there was always more that I could be doing, and there was always more to learn and grow in the profession.
Your first year was it like a grammar school? Or?
No, my first year I taught high school English.
Wow.
I actually taught English as a second language to students who are new to the country.
So, tell me, if you compare the population, the student population, like today's day and in your years when you started, how was the population? I'm talking about culture, like people from Puerto Rico, from Italy, how was the population?
Most of the students were from all over, but mostly they were Spanish-speaking students that I had.
And what year are we talking about?
This was in 1991.
Wow, that's good. That's good to know. By that time, the Cubans community was coming to Union City.
I think it was from different countries. Different countries. Dominican Republic, El Salvador.
Dr. Perez, actually, what is your position in the Union City School?
Now I'm the Assistant Superintendent of Schools, and I work in student services.
And you got your doctorate degree a couple of years ago?
In January.
In January.
I finished in January.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Doctor. Your title is Assistant Superintendent of a School. Tell me a little bit about the challenges of that position.
So I work with student services. So there are many different facets to that. I work with the support service teams in every school. Every school has a team that's committed to working for student needs, students that are struggling or need extra help or need more advanced classes. I work with the school nurses. I work with the guidance counselors, like anything to provide services, additional services. And I guess the challenges in that is that there's so many needs. It's such a tough time that we're living in, and we have students from all walks of life.
Can you mention your main responsibility?
My main responsibility is working with the support service teams.
Good.
In the schools.
Which, in a typical day, what do you do?
So I might attend a meeting that they're having where they review different concerns that they have. Every team will sit and discuss students that need help, and we'll kind of brainstorm what kind of help we can provide, what kind of services are available. I may call parents or meet with parents to just give them a little bit of guidance.
Dr. Geri Perez, if I ask you your own opinion, what are the most difficult challenges of students with a language barrier?
For students with a language barrier, it's difficult because if you can't communicate with people, when you have something important to talk about and you can't communicate effectively, a lot gets lost. And you may not realize what help there is for you. You may not realize what support is there for you because it may get lost in the translation somewhere. And it isn't just the language, too. We have a lot of students that are new to the country, and yes, they may be still learning the language, but they're also learning the country. You're in a new home, you're in a new environment,
Exactly.
and that comfort, that you have in a safe, familiar place isn't always there.
In my case, when I came to Union City, I felt very comfy because it's Spanish language, there's a lot of Spanish speaker, but those people that come from Russian, from different background, and I know that we don't have like so many translators. How is the scenario?
It's difficult. It's very, very difficult. If you don't have that support of others who can help you or help you communicate, maybe there's a shyness about, asking for that kind of assistance. We're lucky. We're going to be able to start some basic English classes for parents coming up
That's
in the
great.
school year, so I'm
That would be
excited
super.
about that.
What is the process to evaluate teachers and supervisors in our district?
So it's an intense process. It's not just going into a room and giving a teacher a grade. It takes a lot of time. When you're evaluating as an administrator, when you're evaluating a teacher, you spend a lot of time walking through that classroom, going into the class, observing informally before you actually get into the formal evaluation. And the purpose of it is to try to give guidance and feedback to make that teacher better. So you may find things that need improvement.
And do you get feedback from other professors, even from the students to evaluate the teachers and supervisors?
Not so much, but it's informal. When you can tell by how the students are responding, how the students are learning. So you're watching. When you go in to observe a class, you can see if the students are engaged. You can see how they're interacting. That's the kind of feedback you get from parents and students. But more or less, we go through a teacher effective framework. It's a tool that we developed. So we're looking at not just the instructor in front of the room at that moment. We're looking at how well they plan. We're looking at the different assessments they use. We're looking at how much they participate in professional learning. So there's a whole bunch of different things that we look at.
So after the evaluation ended, so you sit down with the staff and let them know what is the weak part.
The feedback is the most important. The comments that you give, not just checking off a box if you did it or you didn't do it, but the follow-up conversations and the feedback that you give, the guidance for improvement is what we're really aiming to do in evaluating teachers.
If you find evaluation is not a very good one,
sometimes I'll sit with that teacher and I'll say, look, this didn't go right. The X, Y, and Z was a little bit off.
That was my point.
Right. I would like you to go back and try it again, but next time try this and give them some strategies to make it better and let them do it again.
It's an opportunity, yes.
Yeah, let them do it again. There's no reason to leave a bad evaluation. It's a work in progress and we're striving to improve.
Geri, tell me something. Tell us about the recruitment and selections of special needs staff and the process you use in our district.
So the process for recruiting any staff member, we want to start early because, as you know, there's...
And when you say early, what is...
Early, whenever we can. Like, don't wait. We don't want to wait until right before September to recruit for new teachers. There's a teacher shortage. More and more people are not going into the teaching profession. And we find that there's a lot of gaps, and we're looking for teachers all the time. We encourage student teachers so that we have the opportunity to work with them while they're learning, and that also gives us insight into who the upcoming candidates are so that we can have interviews. There's interview committees throughout the district. Many different district administrators will interview, and when it comes to positions for special needs, maybe we'll have special needs supervisors or people with that expertise conducting the interviews because they may have more specialized questions that they can ask.
That makes sense.
And things of that nature. So
how many special need teachers do we have in the district? If you can.
Oh, I couldn't give you a number off the top of my head, but not enough.
Not enough.
We're always looking.
They're always open window to get more.
Yes. It's a difficult job, and it's a specialized training. So the people that will interview are usually people with knowledge of that field.
And they should be bilingual, or
ideally in this community, as many bilingual teachers as we can find is beneficial.
Good
But
to
not
know.
necessarily.
Not
But
necessarily.
it's always a plus.
Let's talk about when you were the principal in one of my favorite school. When I say my favorite school, because I used to perform in there
I
in
remember.
Christmas time.
I remember.
Woodrow Wilson, yeah, good memories in there. Still, when this time come, I always think about that school.
A lot of good memories over
Yeah,
there.
tell me a little bit about your experience as a principal in that special school.
It was an interesting experience, a little bit surreal. I don't know if you know, but growing up, I was a student in that program. That program moved around from school to school, but it ended up in Woodrow Wilson and now in Sarah Gilmore. But when it first started back in like 1978, I was actually a student in that program. And then I grew up and I became a teacher in that program. And then my oldest son attended it, and my two of my sons actually attended the school. And then I found myself principal over there. So I kind of got to see that school from a lot of different angles.
You know what I feel? I feel sad, in a way. Years back, I remember when I graduated as a music teacher in New Jersey. Schools used to have instrumentals classes like violins, trumpet, trombone, cello, and then the regular teachers for vocal, singing. And now that is not happening. I know that the state cut the budget years back. Do you remember what years that happened?
I don't know where it took the turn, but I remember as principal over there, we found creative ways to bring in the arts. It was an arts integrated focus in the school. So
I was not agree with that in that moment. It's different. It's different in a way that if you are an art teacher, like a general art teacher, how are you going to teach a kid to play the flute? And the quality in music, in a way, musically, probably decreasing a little bit.
We had a phenomenal music teacher in Yolanda Fernandez. I mean, she was more than a music teacher. I mean, I always walked into the classrooms and I felt so inferior to the kids because they could read. They were learning how to read music. She was teaching them at such a level that many of them could
Yolanda was very good
instruments there, and they could read the notes. They would take out the pages and they would be following around and they'd be reading the notes, and like that's something I always wanted to do.
Geri, tell me something. I know you are a doctor now and probably you have a good future, better than, we always want something better in our life. Where do you see yourself in the next 10 years, 18, 15 years from now? You're still young.
Well, there's nothing better than I'm doing right now. Let me tell you, like there's nothing. This is what I've always wanted to do. This is what I do. I've never wanted to work anywhere but Union City. And thinking about 10 years from now, that's a little tough. The experience with the pandemic kind of taught me a little bit about learning to live in the moment and appreciate things for now, because things that we have right now, we might not have tomorrow. So 10 years from now, I envision myself with the love and support of my family and whatever it is I'm doing, with a book in my hand, of course, because I've been reading.
Exactly. Now that you mentioned the pandemic, COVID-19, how did you handle your daily routines, duties?
That was an interesting time because the protocols that we had to have in place, we were developing them as we were going. The CDC was developing things. Everything was changing. Everything was changing from day to day, and we kind of had to change with it. I spent a lot of time in that period in the pandemic working with the school nurses, and we updated our standard operating procedures. We developed a protocol for COVID, and it was very, very inconvenient.
What did we learn as a professional, as a teacher, as an administrator?
I think we learned to be ahead, to prepare, to be ahead of the curve, to prepare for the unexpected, expect the unexpected, always think about, anything could happen at any time. How do we stay in touch and communicate with our students and families? Because I think that was the hardest part about the pandemic, was the isolation, the not being able to have that sense of community. I think that's what was so important about Woodrow Wilson. It was a family. It was a community. When you work in a school, you establish that. And the pandemic did everything in its power to prevent us from doing what was natural.
Very sad time.
Yes. Yes. So we spent a lot of time trying to get ourselves back, to work at a way, the best way we could, to be safe in coming back.
Geri, do you consider our district like a large family, a good family?
Absolutely.
In what way?
Absolutely. I mean, we spend most of our day in the district with each other, not at home with our actual families. But we rely on each other in times of crisis. We pull together with each other. We solve problems together, and we enjoy life together. So it is like a big family of sorts.
That's good. Geri, how do you define our administration in favor of education, like Mayor Brian P. Stacken as a senator, as a mayor?
I mean, he's essential. I mean, he is all for the kids of Union City. I can just remember every aspect of working as an administrator in Union City, what he put into making sure the kids had the very best. When Gilmore School was opening, he was over there every day making sure the best sidewalks were put out there. Like, he knew about the details of the construction of the building. He knew about it, and he ensured that the kids had the very best.
So there's a good relationship between the school district and the mayor.
Absolutely. Supportive, 100%. We wouldn't be where we are without him.
And that's why we call this city the Dream City. It's about the kids, about the student, about the community, and just work as a family.
And he kind of directs all of that.
Dr. Perez, anything that you could add that maybe we didn't touch in our conversation?
No, I'm very proud. I'm very proud to work for the Union City Board of Education. I'm proud of all of my former students. When I look back at what they've accomplished, I don't know where the years have gone. I told you this is my 32nd year. So some of my kids have moved on to be doctors and nurses. Some of them have appeared on Broadway.
That's a good feeling when you see.
They're published authors. They've done elected officials. They've done so many different things, the kids. But I think the thing I'm most proud of is the ones that have come back as parents of students that I had in the school. Because when you look at the beautiful children they're raising, I think to me that's been what's most special, to see the cycle continuing, to see the kids move up through the district.
And that's part of what you have done as a teacher.
It makes me feel very proud to see that.
And what do you think about this program, the Dream City?
The Dream City, I think God bless you for doing this. Like it's you get an interesting insight into many things that go on that you wouldn't normally know about.
Thank you, Doctor, for being here and taking the time to pass by the Dream City and to take the opportunity to inform about your career as a teacher, as a principal.